works from here on out. There's this first like 10 to 15 minutes of just kind of setup and explanation and running people through everything. And just realize I didn't launch on YouTube. So, all right. So this is Atonuv Open Studio, nightly mix feedback, review, technical support. Starts at 6 p.m. Eastern every day. And for the first 10 to 15 minutes, it's just kind of letting people get into chat, send their tracks in, and all of that. And at any point, you could send mixes to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will get to them on stream. Now, at any point, feel free to ask a question in chat or say that you're here and that you've sent me a track so that we can get to it live. Now, like I was saying, I know a lot of people are from all over the world and that the timing doesn't always work out for people to watch live. So what I'm going to try tonight, and if it works, it'll become part of the like regular scheduling format, is there's going to be the first 10 minutes of, kind of nothing. And an hour into the stream, I'm going to take a break from from folks that are live in chat and go through all of the tracks that have been sent in and no one's here in chat. So if you've sent something in and and you're not live during the stream, I'm going to be doing those an hour into the stream. Okay? So we're going to bake that into the format and see if that works for everybody. I think that that's going to be more convenient because I know that these can be up to like 3 hours long, and when people send stuff in and I kind of get to them randomly, like I realize that is not amazing for people that are watching the replays, so I want to make this a little more convenient for you. So the 1 hour mark is going to be where the straggler feedback comes in, okay? So for the next 10 minutes or so, we're just going to kind of hang out and get people on board into chat. I have a pretty good amount of stuff to look at today. I think we got like 6 tracks, and we're going to dial in someone's room, so that's going to be exciting. At any time, you can send stuff in to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will happily take a look at them on stream. Now, also, you should know I'm Scott. I run Atonuv out of Detroit. I'm an audio engineer. I'm primarily doing mastering, but I take a mix every now and then when I think it's cool. And on top of audio engineering, I started teaching violin lessons when I was 12, so I've been a teacher for a really long time. I am really involved in the DIY community, and on top of like audio engineering as a profession, I just really believe in open source exchange of ideas and knowledge. So that's why I'm doing this stream. That's why it's here. And especially, of course, I started doing it because pandemic and, I got to interact with people somehow. And this has been a really, really, this has been a lifesaver for me. And moving forward, I know that like right now, a lot of people figured out that recording themselves and mixing themselves was really going to be their sole way of getting their artistic expression out during this time period. So I want to help make these home mixes the best that they can be. It seems like a good time to do that. And also, this is proven to be a really, really excellent community. So, like even, hopefully on the sooner side, when we can start to like go out and be humans again. Even once the world starts up, this is still gonna be here. Like, don't worry about this like disappearing once once we can go outside again. I'm having a really great time. This has been great. And yeah, I'm using what's up, Elias? I'm using an SM57 today. That's what I've got. The SM7B is definitely my preferred voiceover mic, but I don't have it for the next couple of days. And I was using a ribbon yesterday, and like I really like the ribbon, but it's a little bit peaky and essy, so I'm just doing I'm going like very, very lo-fi today with the 57. All right. Yeah, I mean, 57s are amazing. I mean, the thing that I always say is if it was good enough for Fleetwood Mac, it's good enough for anybody. I mean, I have like just a box full of 57s at this point. You can throw them off your roof. You can set them on fire, and they will still treat you right. All right, folks. We got about 5 minutes till we're gonna get to the main course. So I'm just gonna, give the whole spiel again. This is the Atonuv Studios open stream, and I'm here every night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can send your tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and we'll do like live on-stream feedback. Now, I'm trying to standardize some of the scheduling on this as much as it can be, because I do like to keep it like as loose as possible, because like we get into some really cool conversations on stream. But basically what I'm looking at as a rough schedule is we've got like the first 10 to 15 minutes where I just kind of let people come on board, get their mixes in, and then we go feedback live with whoever is on stream that has sent in their stuff. And then I know that there is a fair amount of people that are from all over the world, all sorts of different time zones, and it's just not gonna work for everybody the time. So what I'm gonna try tonight and from here forward is at the 1 hour mark on the video, I'm going to go through the tracks that no one has claimed in chat, so that if you're watching the replay, you can go to the 1 hour mark and you'll know that your track is somewhere in there. Because like some of these are like 3.5 hours long, and I know that there are folks that are looking for their track on the replay, and that must be a nightmare. So I don't want to keep making people do that. So 1 hour mark, we're gonna take a break from the live stuff, and I'm gonna go through the rest of the tracks. All right. So here we are on the stream. Couple of minutes, and then we're gonna get into it. I see that Elias is here, and they have sent something in, so I'm going to load that up first. And we're going to start with that today. Don't go down. And I've got an iLock issue, so I don't have most of my usual like plugins and meters and stuff, but I did yesterday. I had to do all of this with my like laptop webcam, and I didn't have screen sharing working, but I figured that all out this afternoon. So we will have that back in action today. I had to turn my monitors on. It's kind of important. And we will be starting very, very soon. Yeah, the white balance is definitely not great on this. I usually use a Sony A6500, but I'm on my backup cam, which is an A6000, and it is just significantly worse as a camera, and I can't white balance it for the life of me. I definitely gave it my best. So we're a little bit blue today for sure. Yeah, we could just think of it as a vibe. All right. Cool. Elias, let's dive in to your track. Let me just get the background info. Okay, so you're usually sending in hip hop, and this is different. So, I'm stoked to see what it is. Let's listen. All right. Very cool, very different. And let me get back to chat. Hey, what's up, Ian? Uh, all right. So, drum and bass. Love the genre. I definitely, um, the it is right up that alley. Okay, so we're only on the left corner of Studio One. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm on my secondary system for the next couple of days, and I just don't have all of the screen switching and stuff totally dialed in on this. So I might for today just stick to the camera because I know it's working. So let's see how that goes. Now, as far as this track, um, the number one thing, first off, it's really cool. It's got a lot going on. The number one thing that I'm concerned with is that we don't have a lot of power on the kick. And the snare was occasionally getting lost in that, like, you've got that really, really brassy, like, sawtooth, like, super bass happening, and it's fighting a bit with the snare, and we're also just generally fighting with the kick, and it doesn't like quite have the pulsing drive that I would generally look for on a track like this. First things first, we have kick sandwich as the template. We've got sub bass under the kick, and then some bass over the kick. Totally cool. That kick is getting kind of it's getting a little bit drowned out by the sub bass in that like 20 to 60 region. I would just be a little more careful down there to get that separation, because I'm not getting like the thump of the kick, I'm not getting the feel of it, and we're getting it it's getting lost in the whoa, 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 in the very, 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 very sub bass. So if we cleaned that up a little bit, probably just like 2 to 4 dB, we're gonna get back some of the power of the kick, and that's gonna help. And we're also probably gonna need to get that kick, like some beater action on it, or some some like top end, just like a little bit to drive it home. And let's see what's happening. Cool. Drop frames for a second. So that's basically where I'm at on the track, like a little more carving on the very, very, very low end. And then there is some overall, it's just that sawtooth bass is generally overwhelming basically the entire frequency spectrum. Like, we're starting to get stuff lost in the mids and the upper mids as well. And I think that there's room to get, you've got like those vocal samples and textures coming in and out, and those are getting lost in the mix. And it might be fun if those got highlighted a little bit more, and that's going to come from just taking some info away from that line. But yeah, definitely a change of pace from the last few things that I've heard from you. Very, very cool. Um, okay. Let's see. So, if you are just joining, this is a Ton of Open Studio. This is nightly mixed feedback, 6 p.m. Eastern, every day. And you can tune in, send in tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Always feel free to ask a question in chat. If you have sent me a mix and you're here, let me know so that we can get to you live. And tonight I'm trying out. I know that people send stuff in from all sorts of different time zones. So at the 1 hour mark on the video, if you're watching the replay, I'm going to go from the folks that are live to the folks that have not yet claimed a mix, and we'll do that at the 1 hour mark. That way you don't have to hunt through a 3 hour live stream to find your track if you missed it that night. So if you've sent something in and you're here, let me know, and we'll get to it. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Ian's room. If there aren't any tracks. So I'll just give it a minute. I'm going to try to figure out what's up with my display capture. It was like zoomed in super hard on the onto one part of my screen. Which, yeah, for the next couple of nights, I'm on my like secondary computer and system and everything. So it is just not it's not it's not perfect, y'all. It's kind of a pain to like, you know, go from like I'm going to get you some solid feedback to why is it like this? I don't want to be, you know, boomerang out on my own tech support. It's kind of miserable. I don't know. I don't know. All right. And I can see people kind of coming in and out. So, if you have something that you want me to take a look at, you can send it to atonuvrecords@gmail.com at absolutely any time. And I will take a listen then. All right. I have a few tracks. But yeah, if folks aren't here to get the live feedback, I'm going to get to them in about an hour. So if no one is here who has sent something, Ian, are you here? We can figure out your room. Okay, cool. Ian is cooking. All right, we can if you want to let me know when you are not cooking or when it's a good time to go through your room, because there's definitely just a lot of there's a lot going on, and I can hang out until then. Okay, cool. Right on. Hit me up when you are done cooking. All right. So if you are just tuning in, this is a Ton of Open Studio. I'm here at 6 p.m. Eastern daily. You could send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. You will hear me give something close to this speech every few moments. This is a nightly mix feedback stream, so you can send something in, get some kind of like top down level feedback, generally nitty gritty stuff, the exact frequency to look out for on your kick or snare, how to dial in that mix, get it a little bit bigger, a little bit punchier. And what has been really, really fun is this is a daily stream. So people can, feel free to just like send stuff back and forth and develop and revise a mix over a few days. We've seen some really cool stuff happen on stream with people, making just a tiny revision here and there and then having, really getting that mix dialed in to the next level. It's really cool to see happen. And that's been super cool. And new thing I'm trying out for tonight is if you're in chat and you've sent me a track, definitely let me know you're here so that we can go through things live and kind of talk back and forth. I also know that there are a good amount of people that are not even close to existing in my time zone. So at the 1 hour mark on this stream, I'm going to go to the tracks that people haven't claimed and go through them at the 1 hour mark. That way you can watch the replay and not need to just kind of guess at where your track is on the stream. But yeah, I definitely have a few tracks in my inbox from earlier in the day. It was really cool to get, there's a bunch of new stuff in here tonight. So let me know if you're here, and I will get to your track while you're in the room. And if anyone has any sort of general questions at any point, I will definitely, feel free to ask in chat, and I will get to them. As of right now, what we're doing is seeing if anybody who sent a track comes into the room, and then after Ian finishes making dinner, we're going to go through and dial in their mixing environment, that's going to be fun. That's going to be riveting content. But yeah, until then, it's this is kind of it. Maybe I can fix that white balance. No, probably not. All right. I am currently stalling. Here is how it works. This is Atonuv Open Studio. If you're walking in and wondering what's going on, this is nightly mix feedback, technical support, audio questions, absolutely anything that you can think of in the recording, mixing, Mastering World. I'm here at 6 p.m. Eastern every day. Feel free to send tracks in to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. And as far as the format goes, it's basically the first 10 minutes of the stream are, just kind of like hanging out, getting people on to chat. And then I start going into tracks that have been sent in throughout the day. And starting tonight, I'm trying out a little new format, going to, at the 1 hour mark, go to tracks that have been sent in from people that aren't in chat at the moment, because I know a lot of people watch the replays that are from all over the world, and they can't make it for the live chat. So at the 1 hour mark, we're going to go ahead and go to those tracks. So if you've sent something and you want me to get to it live, just feel free to shout yourself out in chat, and I will get to your track. Let's see. I'm gonna check out Elias's track again and see if there's any more that I can glean from it. Also, just to listen to it again, it was pretty sweet. Oh, amazing. Yeah, if you already changed stuff, let's do it. Let's get right into it. This is that riveting action that I'm all about on this stream. Let's bounce stuff back and forth. Let's fix this track up right here, right now. All right. We are hanging out at the speed of technology, folks. We've got tracks getting bounced out. We've got ovens cooking up food. If you are just dropping into stream, this is Atonuv Open Studio. This is a daily mix feedback technical support live stream. You can send your mixes to atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and I will take a listen and a look live in studio. And yeah, that's basically how it works. Feel free to drop stuff in anytime. And if you are here and you have sent me something, just definitely shout out in chat so that I know that you're here so that we can, dial stuff in together. And at the 1 hour mark tonight, I'm going to be going through stuff that hasn't been claimed live. That way, if you're catching the replay, you'll know at about 1 hour into the video, your stuff will be in there. That way, you don't have to stream to find um, your track. I think that might work better for everybody. I'm definitely always figuring out how to make this the best that it can be for everybody. Which also I know that like I'm blue and my screen share is for whatever reason zoomed in to like 600%. So that's not working on my end. I'm on my secondary system for the next couple of days, so you know, embarrassing for me. There is also I just put up a Discord for folks because this is a really really cool community of people. There's about uh we're in like the 20 to 30 people like semi regularly sending stuff in and you know being a part of this uh weird mix stream. So I did, if you want an invite, just email me, and I figured that the Discord could be a place where people, share stems and continue to kind of help each other out and share stuff throughout the day. So that is kind of new. That is new news, if that's your thing. Cool. Elias, I'll send you an invite. Yeah, I kind of like, you're all going to just figure out that I'm like kind of shockingly old as this goes on. I kind of on top of it, it's just this weird thing. I kind of ignored the internet for like 8 years, and then pandemic happened, and you know, I am adjusting to the new world. So it's kind of like I'm like, yeah, Discord. I hear people say that uh on stuff. So, bear with me a little bit. Uh I'm clawing my way into the modern age. All right. And I normally don't like watch like the stream view count, but I see that there's some new people in here. Just so you know what's up, this is a ton of open studio. You can send mixes, and I will do some top down style feedback on your tracks. And you can send those in anytime to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. If your track is like really rough or it's a finished product and you don't want it to get leaked before it's released, uh, let me know. And you don't want it played on stream, just let me know in your email, and I'll play it off stream, and and then still give you some solid feedback. Also, if you're using like a if you're doing like vocals over someone else's beat and it's copyrighted or whatever, please let me know, or if it's a cover, let me know so that we don't get copyright clapped. Thanks. But yeah, we will also at as far as structuring the stream at about the 1 hour mark, I'll go through tracks that people have sent in throughout the day, but they might not necessarily be in chat. That way, when people are watching the if you're watching the replay the next day at around the hour mark, that's when I'll do like the no shows mix feedback, just so people know what's up. And Elias, I would definitely appreciate some admin moderation stuff if you know what you're like. Absolutely, that would be great. All right, and we are waiting on. We've got a revision that has happened live on stream that's getting bounced out and sent over. So we're going to take a listen to that. And then when Ian gets back into chat, we're going to dial in the acoustics of a room, which I'm really excited to do because that's one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite things to figure out. So that is going to be honestly riveting. So that is on the schedule, and we will be getting to those things. And then I've got like 4 or 5 tracks from people, I think, in my inbox. Definitely let me know if you're here. That way I can go through stuff live with you. Always a solid way to do it. And if they don't come into chat, then I'm going to start going through their tracks kind of around the 1 hour mark. Okay, great. We got that new mix. Very, very cool. Downloading. All right. Cool. Let's check it out. back and forth between the two versions. That kick is so much better. It's just so much better, and it makes the drop more effective. Like because you're doing like this really cool build at the intro, and then like the first time when it drops, and if you don't drop down to a really 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 powerful kick, it's kind of it's anticlimactic, but it's so much more effective there, like at that moment. And now I'm just like kick and snare are just driving their way through the track, uh and by also cleaning up stuff around, I'm getting way more stereo detail. You've got all of that ear candy stuff. It's way less buried while still being background and, vibe, and it's not overwhelming, but I can feel it more. This is a much better mix. Yeah. I'm back and forthing a little bit, kind of for me. Yeah, way better. Let's see. So I'm gonna go back to the new mix, like the end of it, and just kind of let it play out and see if anything else comes to mind. But this is much better. Yeah. Huge improvement. Night and day, makes all the difference in the world. And that's the thing with mixing. Uh it's all about like making moves really quickly, making moves confidently, and the more that you do it, the more that you realize that it's usually just like one or two steps away from being great. Like as long as you were being vaguely careful in the production process and like picked good samples or recorded good sounds, it's like music is good and music sounds good. And then your mix is just always about like this last little bit of making everybody play nice together. And once you dial in like that last element, everything just kind of falls into place. And this is one of those times. It was just uh you know, getting that kick to sit a little bit nicer within everything, and then you did a little more compression on the drums. I think they sound great. I don't think they sound too squashed. And you just carved out the difference between the sub, kick, and bass that cleaned everything up. Everybody has power now. Um, Huge improvement with just, I think that was like 10 minutes of tweaks, and that mix came back much, much better. All right. Um, Ian, I'm going to give you a minute to see if you're back because we're going to dial in your room. And so if you are just joining, this is a ton of open studio. People can send their tracks in for some top-down style mix feedback. And If you are live here and you've sent me something, definitely drop me a message in chat so that I know you're here and we can go through your stuff live. Okay, Ian's here. So, plan of attack is we're going to go through Ian's room and dial in some acoustic recommendations. And then I'm going to start going through tracks that people have sent in that aren't here. So, Ian, you have a cool space, and we can definitely get this dialed in. So, I'm going to pull up your stuff. I can't figure out screen sharing on this laptop, y'all. It didn't work at all yesterday. I got it to work today, but it zoomed in like 700% on the top left corner of my screen, and I cannot get it to work. So I know that you said I could, show pictures of this for the stream, but I'm just going to go ahead and, kind of just free jazz this and just talk about what's going on in the pictures. So let me pull this up. So here's what you're working with. You did a room EQ sweep. That is going to give us the most information, all right? You have some foam squares from your practice space. You put some stuff in the corner. Maybe it's going to do something. We'll take a look at that. And you've got a cloud, and I saw the picture of the cloud, and that is a nice cloud. So that is definitely doing stuff for you. Okay, and I just got an email from Rada who gave me file permission to download their track. So I'm assuming you're here. Let me know if you're here in chat. Okay, so your room, let's go through it kind of one thing at a time, and let's start with that frequency sweep. Which is like, the good news is it's not that bad. Now, the image that you sent me, it's only going up to 1K, which might just be, I think that's kind of, I haven't had to use Room EQ Wizard in a while. I think that that's kind of their jam. They just go up to 1K. Here is the really good news about your room. So I would be curious about getting a sweep that goes further up to see if there's anything, because sometimes we have like cancellation issues in the upper mids and the super high end, but that's usually solved by just everything down here. The good news is that your low end is pretty good. We've got like some mild dipping happening at like north and south of 100, I think. Yeah, at like 80 and 120, but it's not horrible at all. So like really, really good news there. That's where we sometimes just have inescapable problems. Yeah, send me up to 20K, and I'll take a look at it and just see if there's anything insane happening up there. But like, as far as dialing in this room, we got to start. So where you have big ass problems is at right around 300 at 295.6 if we're being super exact. So like 300, 390. That's where I'm seeing just things that are going to constantly cause you giant headaches. And then we've got like probably just like harmonics of that. Yeah, like right south of 900 has a pretty significant dip. So we're sitting around like, we have issues in the low mids from 300 to 900. The really, really good news about that is that there aren't giant problems below 100. That's where you're going to run into just constant rabbit holes of needing to like change your entire life to fix them. So, um, first things first, you gotta move these speakers. So, and like that is the really, really good news is that is the cheapest problem to fix, and it's probably your biggest problem. Is that everything like everything bad is happening like right at the beginning of your chain. I can see that you have a tape measure on your desk, so that is excellent news. Okay. So you've got a table as a desk, which you're gonna be getting like as this is all set up right now. Basically, you've got your monitors, and you have sweet monitors, dude. These are really good, and you got to get them to work harder for you. So you've got them up against a couple of windows, like in the window sills, and so they're gonna, and it's also a recessed sill, so you're gonna be getting like first hard reflections just like right off the bat. So we got to get those speakers out of the windowsill. That is just like goal number one. So like some speaker stands or something that could work as speaker stands, or honestly like tossing those on the table with like some phone books under them is gonna be better than what you've got right now. And I'm gonna open up your room measurements. Okay, so we are 14, and I see that you've got the L thing, and I know that you've got like a funny shape with your room, and it opens up into another room, but that is not necessarily going to be a big deal. We can basically treat this as a square, and probably not run it. What we're gonna want to see is if we have like and this is where SonarWorks is really, really good, because it'll give you the differential between the left and the right speaker. So that's where we would want to see if the L is getting you anything like crazy different between the left and the right. So I just need to do some quick math. Let me pull up a calculator. So we got 14 feet long. Okay. So, Ian, how far back from the front wall is your listening position right now? Cool. And Rada, I see you in the YouTube chat. I will get to your track after we dial in this room. All right. And for folks that are watching this in the future, we just hit the 1 hour mark. I am dialing in Ian's room for the next probably 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go through Rada's track. So for people in the future that are looking for their tracks that couldn't make it to the live stream, we are going to get to you. Check back in a half hour. Okay? This is my message for all the future people. Okay, so you are 50 inches back from the front wall, which is Uh, yeah, that's about where you want to be. You could get your head so like anywhere from 48 to 58 inches back from that front wall is going to be doable. So with your current setup, I'm just going to pull up that picture again. So you could probably move your head back just a little bit from where it is and then bring those speakers like out of the sill and then in a little bit. You can have your near fields can be shockingly close to each other and give a nice image. So, yeah, I mean, I would, and then just make sure, you want your ears to be about level with your tweeters. It looks like you're already doing that. So, like, even if you just built an extension off of those windowsills to place your monitors, I mean, that's kind of going to be like exactly where you want it. So like out and then a little bit in, I think is gonna do it. Yeah, but basically whatever it takes to get those speakers out of the windowsill, and you're gonna get an instantly better feel for your room. Now, so that is like first things first, and that's like no money. Okay. Uh, and I'm going to open up that second frequency reading that you just sent. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and then some big old dips up in the upper mids, but like it trends not too badly. And like I said, we're not getting anything horrible in the low lows, and it's going to be even tighter. Um, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like now that I'm seeing it up to 20K, it's definitely like we have the nulls, that are pretty severe, but it's more like what we want to get is just the average, um, like the scope as a whole. Like getting rid of the nulls is definitely a thing to do, but that's gonna happen by evening this out as well. So because you are overrepresented in the just general like lows to low mids in general, and that totally makes sense with what's going on. You've got you've got them up against the wall, and they're in a sill, like getting all of that. So this makes sense. So first things first, you're going to get a smoother curve by moving those monitors. If the stands were in front of it, the cubbies really wouldn't be that much of a problem anymore. And you would want to probably eventually do front wall treatment with absorption. So we'll get to that next. Yes, absolutely, probably. Um, so first things first, you're a little overrepresented in the lows. Move those speakers out. It's going to get better. Now, where we're getting those big nulls and cancellations, those are mostly going to be coming from first reflections and your desk. But you've got, I see that you put like a towel on your desk. You're doing a little bit of mitigation right there. It's just that like when you use like something like a table, like in my like in a mastering room and like in my mastering setup, I like literally don't have a desk. It's like I've got everything on just like a slanty rack, and it's just as small and out of the way as possible. So that's going to be causing some of those cancellations and some of the stuff that's happening in the high mids. It's bordering on unavoidable, um, and it's kind of like just in everyone's studio. So that's not huge, but those low mid big nulls, you're going to clean those up by setting up a reflection free zone like I was talking about. And in your question, is that foam doing anything? It's not, unfortunately. So like I took a look. That's like Oralex stuff, and what that is good for is like cleaning up flutter echo, and that's stuff that's like above 5K. That's like you clap and then you hear ping 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 ping. You can get rid of flutter echo points with thin foam, but it is not going to do anything for you in that 300 to 600 range where we're getting big problems. So, if you want to like do this stuff on your own for the absolute bare minimum amount of money, grab like rock wool, like it's like thick pressed wool and fiberglass, and just wear gloves, wear a mask, and frame it out in in some wood, and then put like breathable fabric around it. You can also, so that is like the cheapest, like rock wool and breathable fabric. The next cheapest is Owens Corning 703, if I remember right. It's if you Google Owens Corning bass traps, it'll give you the exact model. And that's like 2-inch or 4-inch like slabs of insulation that is more pleasant to work with than rock wool. So for a little more money, it's a little more convenient, and it's just not as like nasty. 703, nice. If you got a hookup, you got to get it. So if you got 2 panels of 703 or made your own panels with rock wool, you could just place those. So get your monitors out of those sills, and then place that that insulation, those panels, between your speakers and your ears. That is going to clean up really, really nicely in that 300 to 600 range. It's like perfect for it. And then I think that you'll smooth out below 100 just by getting those monitors out of the sill. So that's going to clean up a ton of issues. And then if you get the monitors out of the sill, get that reflection-free zone set up, then you're probably going to want to trap the front corners, which you could do by just doing, like if you have a 703 hookup, you could just make panels, probably like 2 panels thick for each corner, and then just lay them. Sorry for the. So this is the corner of your wall. All right, the panels would just rest like this, so that there's an air gap behind the panel. So you would put them on at an angle. Okay, that is going to cover a lot of that low end really nicely, and then you could use that Oralex that you have to cover the windows. That might be the best way to use that foam that you have. Ideally, I would also make another absorption panel of 703 and place it over the windows. in like a perfect world where I can just get like a a truck full of 703. Um and after that, then I wouldn't be concerned. Then I would do another reading of the room and then see where you're at, but it should just be much better at that point. And then I'm not going to be concerned about like the L shape or the openings and stuff, like unless we see something really not great after that. But that's going to get you in a better spot. And then as far as what I would recommend is, especially if you have a reference mic, you can get SonarWorks for a very reasonable price if you already have a reference mic that you have a calibration file for. Because I think it's like, oh yeah, I mean, if you got some like heavy curtains, that's gonna do pretty good. If you don't want to just feel like, I mean, like I built myself like, um, uh, I built myself a bunker that is windowless and separated from society, and I live like a cave person. So, but I know that not everyone loves that. So, if you want to get some very thick like blackout curtains, that's gonna get you that's not gonna do nothing. So, so there's that. And SonarWorks is like twofold. One, it does apply a corrective EQ so that you can mix with a better perspective. But it also does a really cool, thorough measurement of your room, and then it applies the filter based on its measurements. So, um, it doesn't do like waterfall and all that stuff, but you can go onto any number of acoustic forums and you're going to get like different opinions on like what truly is the thing that matters. And as far as like max minning your home studio, what you really want is just a generally flat EQ curve. And SonarWorks is going to get you it's going to get you there at the absolute fastest pace for the least amount of your time and brain power. So you gotta do these like rudimentary, like room acoustic fixes, like moving your monitors, not optional. Setting up a reflection-free zone, not optional. It's an 85% chance that you're going to need to set up those front corner bass traps. And then everything from there, if you can get like a good room correction on your setup, then you're going to be good for a really long time as far as just having a room that you can trust. And like, seriously, those monitors rule. So let's make them be like the best that they absolutely can. All right. So next up, I'm going to take a listen to Rada's track. So I'm going to get that downloaded, loaded up. If you are joining in, this is Atonuv Open Studio. And you can send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. And I will do live mix feedback, top-down style. If you have sent me a track and you're in chat, let me know you're here. What we've got is we're going to listen to Rada's track. Then I'm going to go through tracks that people have sent in, but they're not here. And then we'll go back to live. So, Ian, to answer you about that right corner, it's like really so first off, the most important part of the corner is where the floor meets, because that's three corners meeting, okay, and then the top is also three corners meeting, but it doesn't matter as much. But basically, anywhere there's a corner in your room is where bass is going to accumulate. So what I would do is you're going to have, like I was saying, It's going to like block the window a little bit, but if you just make like if you get a hold of 703, it's going to be able to kind of freestand a little bit. Just place it on the floor so that it's like if you got rid of that chair that's right there and just kind of wedged that 703 where the chair is, that's going to be where you're going to want it to be. I hope that makes sense. Oh, yeah, and Elias is right. Like, so Jick absolutely does the best for the money. If you're ever in a position where you're gonna, if you're ever in a position where you want to spend money on a bass trap, and specifically that tri-trap that just got linked, it is so nice looking, and it is definitely, and they work amazingly. That's what I use those in my mastering room. And I do recommend them, but I also understand like not wanting to just spend tons and tons of money. So building stuff yourself is going to get you the results that you need. And if you're ever in a position like you finish an album and there's a little bit of leftover cash, the Jick acoustic stuff is definitely best bang for your buck in the professional zone. Elias is correct. Okay. Okay, Rada, I am pulling up your track. All right, let's take a listen.
Lately it feels like I never had you. We was always talking about the matching tattoos. Late nights, early mornings, and I'm missing you. All the fun we had, oh, it's always 'cause I've been lost again. Can't seem just to find a friend. Need you in my life again. And trying to be so relevant. So tell me, do you love me? Do you hate me, babe? Do you hate me? 'Cause while it seems dumb now, I lay in bed thinking about how I let you slip, so you're gone now. Guess I lost myself like somehow. 'Cause while it seems dumb now, I lay in bed thinking about how I let you slip, so you're gone now. Guess I lost myself like somehow. 'Cause this ain't just a story, it's a lesson that I haven't learned. And every time a new one tries to leave, I swear I feel the burning. When I meet a new one, it just feels like they was taking turns on me. 'Cause every time I find a new one, yeah, you left me in the dirt. Money ain't a problem, baby, tell me, do you see my work? I'm running out of options, why I run away from all the hurt. All the pain you caused me, baby, wearing like my favorite shirt. I know you're not here, but I wish you was with me, oh baby. I know you're not here, but I wish you was with me, oh baby. Tell me, do you love me? Do you hate me, baby? Do you hate me? 'Cause while it seems dumb now, I lay in bed thinking about how I let you slip, so you're gone now. Guess I lost myself like somehow. 'Cause while it seems dumb now, I lay in bed thinking about how I let you slip, so you're gone now. While it seems dumb now, thinking about how.
Okay. Mixing is like solid A minus A work. Really, really, really good mix. I think where it is falling apart a little bit is mastering. Um, so my huge concern with this is it is too smashed. Something is, I mean, maybe you just threw on like a demo limiter, like people do. Um, but if that is what you're doing, I would recommend getting a little bit more comfortable with using that demo limiter, because something is smashing into something too hard, and it is clipping like a lot. And it's definitely beyond like, oh, that's a little too much for my taste. It's like there is a big bad clip somewhere. I'm assuming that it's in your mastering chain, because so much of the mix is really, really clean, and I can tell it's super clean, because it's a really good mix. But then something, I'm assuming at the end of the process, is just smashing everything way, way, way too hard. Um, so that is my huge, like, like, that is a bludgeon that is unfortunately gonna like kill the track right there. You gotta dial that out. And my guess is you're just hitting the limiter too hard, and it's not transparent. Now, as far as the mix, it's really, really well like, you've done such a great job of like balancing your sub, and your bass and your kick, and that's really, really, really nice. And I can tell that there's just so much work that went into that, and it's excellent. All of that work. We're definitely a little bit underrepresented at around like 2.5 to 3K. That is like a a potentially harsh area, but it is also it's a little bare there, and there's room for something to sparkle in that region in the mix. But I would love to hear this with and yeah, so something is clipping, and it's overall the average loudness is, I mean, we're pushing at like -5 RMS, and like even like in EDM world, which is like super gosh darn loud, like Skrillex these days, I know one of Skrillex's mastering engineers, like they're pushing it to -7 RMS. So this is just everything's flooding a little too hot, and we got to figure out whatever that clipping is needs to go away. So I would love to hear this with just that like pretty basic issue fixed, and then we could dial in, cuz it's also hard, cuz it's like it's clipping a lot, and it's almost a testament to how good the mix is, because it's like it's hard to listen to, but I can tell that there's a good mix underneath it. So, great mix. Got to fix this one issue. I would love to go further into the mix, but I just currently can't with the clipping that's going on. There might be some other goodies hiding in there, but that's where we're at this moment. Great song too. Really, really like well written, well composed, well arranged. So much is going for this piece, and I would love to have it be at its most excellent possible sound quality. All right. Folks, this is Atonuv Open Studio. This is a daily mix feedback live stream. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern daily. Okay, so I think that the clipping is on the beat, but I mean, that's where I'm hearing it, but I think that it's the entire track is clipping. Like, I think that it's a matter of the entire thing is pushing into the limiter too hard, like on your master bus or your master session. That's where your issues are at. Okay, so Atonuv Open Studio nightly, 6 p.m. Eastern. You can send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. I am going to do the tracks that no one has claimed, stuff that has been sent in to me in the day, and people are not here live. So at about the 1 hour mark from here on out, that's when I'll do those tracks. And we are getting into it now. Here is a block of tracks from people not here. And at any point, you can, send me something and, let me know you're here or ask a question in chat. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and get into stuff from folks throughout the day. And Rada, yeah, thank you for sending that over. It's a really, really cool track, and I'm really excited to hear what happens with it. All right, and folks, at about the halfway mark, I like to do the Patreon shout out. There is a Patreon for this stream. Helps me keep it going every single day. And I really appreciate the people that are on it. We currently have Mason, Tyler, Synux, Elias, and Ian are all patrons of the stream, and this is your nightly Patreon shout-out. Thank you very, very much for making this happen. Okay, I'm going to pull up a track from Champagne Atlantis, I Want to Be Your Hair, and that is from Jesse. They have been mixing it and mastering it themselves. They feel like it's close, but, they need they've lost perspective, which is absolutely super duper normal at that stage in the mix.
I'll go anywhere at any time with you.
track. Um, okay. I definitely know where you're at because this rules. You have clearly spent a ton of time on this, and like you care about what is going on. So that is always hard. You've put in um so much work into making all of this happen, and it's like you're at that final stage and you're just like, what can I do to make this its absolute best? I have been there on the passion projects. I have a few things that you could take a look at. And um all of the arrangement, the effects, the vocals, all of the instruments, the guitars, everything is in a really, really, really nice place. There's a couple of areas to take a look at. Um, and I love that kick. It is very unique. And it definitely isn't like a typical kick in a lot of the ways that I mean, in just its timbre and where it is in the frequency spectrum. It's definitely not typical, but it definitely works in context and it cuts through. And that's awesome. Really, really cool stuff. So I feel like the bass is a little bit tubby. It's definitely it's got like a little bit of flub that could probably be cut down on, like probably around like 60 to 100, but maybe all the way up to like 120. Um it could just get a little bit of tub taken out, like 1 dB. Like that's where we're at in this mix. It's definitely like take everything with a grain of salt. I just want to give you some fresh perspective. And I am by no means prescribing stuff because we are down into that last, like, we want to take something and just scooch it a dB down or scooch something a dB up. And that's where we're at. Bass is a bit tubby. It also could probably use a little bit of like mid-range excitement, just to get it like really. It's so close. And once again, people will know if you've watched this a lot. It's like, oh, I love the Dear Prudence Paul bass line. And especially for a lot of like modern indie rock, like I reference it all of the time. And we could warm up that bass a little bit, and it could also change the entire way that the mix moves, because this is a great bass line. It's really, really tastefully played, and it's really, really important for the whole arrangement. And I feel like it's just a little bit tubby right now, so it's like cut down at the lower section of that bass, and then give it a little love at like 700 with like a Pultec, okay? And that's going to help the entire mid-range kind of animate and come to life a little bit, which is where we could also concentrate some energy and attention. So there's that. So bass, maybe a little bit down in the lowers and a little bit up around 700. The snare is very thin, and it definitely like cuts through the mix, and it has a very, very nice place in the mix. What I would play with as an idea is giving it a little bit of like 200, find the fundamental and just get it to go through, because that's where like the punch of a snare is, and it could be punchier within the context of the song and the genre and what you are going for. That's not necessarily what you want, but it's definitely worth a quick try to see if it like changes your perspective on the mix. So that's a thing to try, not a thing to do. And then as far as like mastering and like frequency spectrum overview, we're definitely, this curve is like really, really, really classic rock, very like vintage and hi-fi. And if that you are mixing and mastering this yourself, so this is absolutely your choice. Like that is your, you know, There are a lot of things that I like buy from bands that I see like at my local places that sound, like this frequency response wise. If you wanted to like modernize this a little bit, it's like we could sparkle up the 3 to 8K range, like just give a little bit of love kind of universally throughout the mix right there. And then we would want to lift up everything above 10K. That's going to be like the blanket over the speakers thing. And, just use like some exciters and like all of that, and just like gently bring up that entire thing and kind of get like a flatter mix, a sparklier mix, a little bit brighter mix. I would, once again, an idea and a perspective, because I think that like within the idea that you are chasing down and what you're doing, this is absolutely appropriate. But that is something that I would consider and that I would recommend like as a thing to try. It's just like brightening up that region. Like against a modern playlist, this would be just a little bit dull. But we're talking about degrees and shading. So yeah, just a few things to think about. Really love where you're at. So, folks, that was an awesome track. We are doing the Atonuv Studio nightly mix feedback live stream. This is a daily stream. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can send tracks to atonuvrecords@gmail.com at absolutely any time. If you are live in chat, definitely let me know that you're here, especially if you've sent me something. And you can feel free to ask a question at any time. What we're going through right now is I have tracks that people sent in throughout the day, but they are, as far as I know, not here. So we're just going through their tracks at this point. So next up, I've got a track from Dustin. Dustin is working on this very cool project that they're recording with people all over the world and kind of like bouncing tracks back and forth. They got a mixing engineer in one city. They got a singer in the Philippines. It's cool stuff. So let's record or listen to this recording. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Elias. Happy holidays to everybody. Nice.
Thinking back to the start of the summertime, it flies by so fast in the blink of an eye. Remember skinny dipping in the lake by your parents' house, so alive at 3 a.m. We leave in this sound, leave it in our wake to hit the road on the longest route out of this place. It's the summertime and the memories will last, but I never wanna say goodbye to the fun we had. Can't wait for next summer, but for right now it's time to feel alive. Can't wait for next summer, but for right now it's time to feel alive. Sun up, sun down, act like we're never going back home. I drive all night just to find the best view, the perfect summer for me and you. Sun up, sun down, act like we're never going back home. I drive all night just to find the best view, the perfect summer for me and you. And when the time comes to say goodbye to the fun we had. Can't wait for next summer, but for right now it's time to feel alive.
Super cool track. Definitely like top of its game as far as that pop punk vibe that you're going for. Really fun to listen to. The vocals sound great, the guitars sound great. Like those two elements are really nicely represented, and they sound really good, and those are definitely the like most important things like for the genre. Vocals and guitar sound great. Here's how we could kind of tighten stuff up. Drums and bass are a little bit underrepresented within this mix. There's a few things to do to fix it up. That bass is just like living down in the mud. And it could be a matter of making some space for it on other instruments to like have a nice spot between 100 and 200. And also, like on the last track, I would definitely let that bass get some love at like 500 or 700. Make sure it's not, it's hard within these like dense arrangements in the mid-range where we are definitely already doing a huge balancing act between that huge guitar and the huge vocal, and that is really good. Like you dialed that in perfectly, but you gotta get a little more room for bass to come through there. Because it's doing a lot, and I can hear like in the choruses you're like kicking on like a bass distortion, and like that bass is just trying their hardest to just like cut through the mix, but it's not. So like it's there, and the energy is there in the bass, and it's like doing all these subdividey things, and I want to definitely feel it more than I do. The drums, there is room for the drums to get extended on the bottom and on the top. Basically, the kick is really beatery, and the beater is definitely like in a perfectly fine place for it, but we want to be having like some 50, 60 to go along with it. I'm not getting any push out of this kick. So it could be a matter of like give it more 50 or 60, but I would also go and check and make sure that like your drums are all phase aligned. And let's see, are you using live drums or samples is the question. Hard to say. So regardless, like just make sure that that kick is lined up with everything else. I'm not getting any of the beef on the kick, and there is definitely room in the mix for it. If there's not room between 40 and 100 for that kick, that means that we just have a bunch of useless information down there. So like get Cuddy on the guitars, get Cuddy on the bass, and just make some room for that kick, because I'm just not feeling a pulse. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's just definitely way more room for cymbals to come up top, like above, like 6K, 8K, 10K, 16K, 20K. Just like let's brighten up this whole mix you've developed a really, really, really good mid-range with the vocals and the guitar, and that is the most important part of the mix. Like in any mix, and especially in pop punk, your mid-range is dialed in on those elements. The bass needs to come and meet it, and like even your snare is sitting like really nicely in the mids, but there's no extension in the top and the bottom. And that's what's going to make this feel like a modern mix, and it's also just going to it's going to let this thing battle it out. Awesome track. Thank you for sending it. It's really cool. Definitely feel free to send stuff anytime. And yeah, so this is Atonuv Open Studio, nightly stream, 6 p.m. Eastern. Send stuff to atonuvrecords@gmail.com. Feel free to say what's up in chat, ask questions in chat, etc., etc., etc. I'm going through the tracks that people sent me earlier in the day, but as far as I know, they're not here. So, it looks like I've got one track left, and this is from Obelisk, and they have requested that I play it off stream. So we are going to be in silence for a moment, and let me just set up, which definitely feel free at any point if you just don't want something played over the stream because it is, really fresh and you don't want everyone to hear it, or you don't want it, you're about to release something and you don't want it to get leaked, you can always ask me to play it off stream. Just make sure that you make it like really clear in the email. Like, do not play this on stream. Otherwise, I'm going to play it and I'll feel bad. I can like strip stuff from the replay if there was an accident at some point. But yeah, make it clear. Let me, come on. Making my banner. Nope. Nope. Nope, definitely not. Almost. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, going on mute. Cool. Let me get rid of that display. All right, and I'm back on webcam. Okay, so basically, really, really cool beat, really, really cool track. I really like the samples, the instrumental. It is really cool. The 808s are a bit hot, and we're definitely pushing like from 20 to 40 really, really, really hard. And you're just going to get like diminishing results for like everything that you pump down there. You're actually really, really nicely detailed in a lot of your mix. It's a little bit scoopy between 500 and 1K, and I would address that. Just give some love to your instrumental a little bit. You're kicking your bass sound great. 808's a bit hot. And then everything above 10K could just get lifted a bit. It's a little bit dull. So I think this is a great track. You're doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. Let's just rein in those 808s a little bit, especially from like 20 to 40 to 60 hertz. Like in that range, you're just going to, basically think about it like this, like especially from, so first off, in general, low end takes more energy to reproduce than other areas of the mix. Okay, so that is keep that in mind from an engineering perspective. The lower the frequency, the more energy it takes a speaker to reproduce. Also, the lower the frequency, the more it'll be overrepresented on your master level. It takes more headroom to reproduce that. So the more stuff that we're throwing in our mix in the really, 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 really low end, we're going to eat up headroom faster, and also like on speakers that are playing it back, they're going to use their power faster. So we're going to make like a quieter track that's less powerful. So there's that. Keep that in mind. Now, then further extrapolate that into when someone plays your track back. Most systems aren't going to play anything. Like if you've got like a really, really nice set of like, if you are just a regular old consumer, okay, and you just like bought nice speakers from Target or whatever, they're going to go down to like maybe 60 hertz, okay, like 60, and then like be underpowered at 40, but they're not going to be doing anything from 20 to 40. And it's going to be underpowered from 40 to 80, 40 to 100, depending on the brand and like where they've placed it in their house, et cetera, et cetera. And that's most people, okay? And then you're going to have people that are like really, really into like bass heavy music, and they have like a sub in their car, or they have a sub in their homes, like in their home stereo. Okay, so that's a separate group of person, and that is much less people than the people that just listen to music. And then the third type of person is like a DJ playing at a club. Okay? So in those three scenarios, most of the people are going to have like consumer devices or a cell phone. So when we just load up a mix with lots and lots and lots of extra information in that 20 up to like 100, we are taking away from like the average consumer. All right? Now, within the context of someone who has a subwoofer in their home or a DJ at a club, they have the power to put on more bass. Okay? You know, like if you've got a sub at home, you are going to like adjust your sub to the level that you like it. And a DJ in a club is going to be able to turn up the bass on their mixer. And in the case of a DJ at a club, I guarantee you that bass knob only goes up. It does not go down. They are not listening in the club and going like it's a little heavy on the low end and turning their bass down. They're just going to turn your bass up no matter what, okay? And then the home consumer who cares about the way that music sounds, they're listening to lots and lots of music. They're streaming stuff. They're buying stuff. They're your ideal market. Someone who buys music or listens to music on a consumer level that also cares about how it sounds. Here's the thing. They are most likely going to be into listening to stuff that was like professionally done. So they're going to be listening to stuff that conforms to an industry standard. Okay? And this is like a thing you got to think about with mastering. So there is, in the year 2020, kind of an industry standard frequency response from track to track, regardless of genre. If it's bass heavy or EDM or rock or folk or anything, there's just developed a standard way of producing tracks over the last, it's just been happening steadily since the invention of recording. Like, it's becoming more and more standardized. Now, you could say that is like kind of boring because it's like, oh no, everything's the same. And to a degree, yeah, it limits us in some of our choices. But also for the consumer, this is great. It's like it's gotten rid of like tweaking your stereo. Like in the 80s, everyone had to have a graphic EQ on their stereo, and that's dumb. Like that level of tweaking for the consumer is it's just way too much responsibility to put into somebody's hands that is just like a dad that bought a stereo from Radio Shack. So we generally are going for a flat frequency curve on our masters, on our tracks. This way, someone who cares about music, who has a sub or an EQ on their stereo, they have set an EQ that they like in their room, in their space, on their system, on their sub. And if your track plays back on their system and it's at a consistent industry standard frequency spectrum, they're going to like your track more because they're not going to feel like they have to adjust their system from what they've been listening to. And this has become standardized even within like the beat tape underground genre. It's just we're getting more and more consistent flat frequency responses with a degree of a bump. Like the smiley face EQ still definitely exists, like a bump down 60 and below and then above 16K. Nice smiley face, that's coming out like flat with a little. And then you can look at like there's like the new James Blake has a bump at like 200. And I generally just give these examples because I'm like using these references all the time. The LCD Sound System, their newest album is flat, I think, but the one before that was overrepresented from 1 to 3K, so a very loud master. But the bumps, the overrepresentations, we're talking about like 2 dB, like a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of low end. It's an increasingly like small amount. So I would just consider that when you are doing this. It's also like totally artistic license. And like I understand, like you make a thing and it's like you want it to bump on your system, you want it to like come across in that way. But as a like top down like perspective on like all tracks playing everywhere, professional mixes are just increasingly flat mixes. And it's for all of those reasons. Like we lose power on consumer speakers, and then in the two places where that part of the spectrum matters, it's totally possible for the end user to add more bass. Like if the club needs more bass or your system needs more, they can do it at this point. All right, so folks, this was a ton of Open Studio. I am that was every single track that has been sent in so far. Feel free to send me stuff at any time at atonuvrecords@gmail.com, and we will do live mix feedback. I will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. Eastern at every day after that. So have a very, very safe and happy holiday. If anyone is in chat and has like a last-minute track or a last-minute question, definitely feel free to ask it or send it. And if no one's here, I'm going to take off, and I'll see folks tomorrow.